Uh, I don't know how to start the video. Maybe starting with mention that I can't play the newest Digimon Story game, so I played an earlier Digimon Story game. Now that doesn't work. Like these videos are attempting to play all Digimon games in order. So even if I could get the newest game, then I wouldn't play it immediately. Okay, I probably skipped some, or maybe not. In Digimon games, not counting those that aren't translated from Japanese in language that I can understand, and live service games that are shut down and are already unlocked. About the language part, maybe I wouldn't skip them if I understood Japanese, but I even learned it. So that's that. So it was time to play Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Acker's Memory, the second and final game of Cyber Sleuth duology, but that doesn't continue the Cyber Sleuth story. And I guess I was wrong that it wasn't planned before Cyber Sleuth release. Like I remember watching Cyber Sleuth Let's Play and was wondering why some Digivolution's requirements are question marks. But maybe at least some stuff from players' feedback about Cyber Sleuth was implemented into Acker's memory. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Acker's memory was developed by Medita Vision and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. It was only for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita, then later got included in complete edition for Nintendo Switch and Windows. And of course I played it from from complete editions on computers. I played it from complete edition on PC or computers.
ついたな。こっちの声は聞こえているか。よし、千歳、そっちはどうだ。およ、なんか画像データが乱れてんな。おいリュウジ、俺の顔ちゃんと見えてる？こっちは問題ない。エリカ、お前はどうだ。
見えてるよ、お兄ちゃん。その子とエデンとの画像通信ラインにだけノイズが走っているみたい。
So this game story takes place at the same time or around the same time and around the same arena as Cyber Sleuth story. So I guess it is a side story, but from a different character's perspective. But I'm not sure if side story is a right term. Maybe it is better to say it is a parallel story. Keisuke. It is how to pronounce his name. Sorry if I butcher his name. Keisuke is a new game in our Acker team is tasked with dealing with an account reader as a test to see if we can join the team. But then there is a flashback to the actual premise, where it is shared that Keisuke's agent got raided by Acker. Base in Digimon in Cyber Sleuth Vault, Eden's account force basically is ID, so then everybody assumes Keisuke is a hacker. Plus, having a temporary account which was set up by Keisuke's friend gives more attention that Keisuke is a hacker. Then someone unknown contacts Keisuke sharing information of stolen Keisuke's account. Then Keisuke goes to the black market, Digimon black market, to investigate about the account raider, but then gets into trouble because of Digimon in the black market. Then an hacker appears and helps Keisuke to deal with the situation, and also installs a Digimon capture program to Keisuke. And Digimon which was founded by Keisuke, Betamon in my case, wants to battle together with Keisuke. And that's how Keisuke found a hacker team to join in. While trying to get the account back, Keisuke helps the team with cases what the team receives. And after dealing with his own situation, Keisuke helps to deal with the situations related to the team. And while doing all that, you meet with characters from Cyber Sleuth, and only have some glances at the Cyber Sleuth main character. It says if saves are shared by both games, then it keeps Cyber Sleuth and the gender female form. So overall, this story, which appears in the background of Cyber Sleuth story, is interesting and is set-ended. Of course, Cyber Sleuth ending plays part in it, but also Anger's memory comes with its own sadness. Well, similar stuff happens to different characters. What happens to Cyber Sleuth characters, minus getting connect jump ability. Like for some characters, bloodlines in Anger's memories are parallel to Cyber Sleuth character bloodlines. So it's like a parallel subplot, for which I'm not a big fan of having similar stuff appearing to different characters in the same continent, which takes place around the same time and around the same arena. Like it basically it is dealing with the same problem again, but for a different character, and is a different character. But it can be looked past it. Without having connection jump ability, you can see how arcades get the place where they shouldn't have reached. Speaking of subplots, subplots continue from Cyber Sleuth, not just side case subplots, but also Cyber Sleuth character subplot lines contains, or more details for them are revealed. So you can see some ground to the Cyber Sleuth character, which wasn't shown in that game, and of course there is ground for original character for this game. But yeah, there are probably other problems with the story, which I can tell because they didn't stay in my memory. But yeah, it is an interesting way to have a story that is a background story for Cyber Sleuth story. And of course, there is fixed gender to play as in this game, so only male, and default name is Keisuke, which of course I left in. Of course, the base gameplay is the same as Cyber Sleuth gameplay, like having random encounters and turn-based combat. Commanding each Digimon one by one, and keeps cross combo for every team of Digimon action. Like after selecting a command, the Digimon does the actions, and of course the command menu is a directional command menu. And turns are shown on timeline, and with that you can see how turns can be changed. The planned commands are normally, which mostly I didn't do. And of course Dig Evolutions and Dig Evolutions works in the same way, and I guess in both games Dig Evolutions and Dig Evolutions are mainly for increasing the AP stat. Maybe a little bit other stats, but not the same amount as older story games. Some of which were localized as sword games and weren't localized at all. At least officially. I guess it is to push the player to stick up, to take it up. Only from taking more to increase stats, the player needs to take for a Digimon. And Digimon works the same as in Cyber Sleuth. From where you can access Digifarm and Digifollowing or the Digifollow Digimon. Even party Digimon, and where to heal your Digimon. Still, after leveling a link up, Alt and SP address to that, and accessing Mirror Dungeons, and where you can access the two multiplayer battles. In the Complete Edition's multiplayer is shared with Cyber Sleuth, except Digimon, unless if Digimon are registered for multiplayer battles, but I can check it out, but because I checked it out on No Game Plus for Cyber Sleuth and left in the prologue, so I'm not sure about it. Well, that was at first. Reject Digilab in Cyber Sleuth and check the multiplayer option. And yeah, registered Digimon are shared by both games. Now, what about what is new or what is changed? Now there are more spells against hackers, not just regular turn-based spells. All those are included, but also domination spells. Something like a board game or a tactical game with different challenges, like getting enough score in a limited amount of turns, destroying opponents and other different challenges of different tournaments. Some challenge turns alternate between teams. Other challenges team turns are grouped. And of course, in this you can do turn-based spells. It is by having opposite team members on the same space. And for adversary spell, they attack first. But that is not all. You can use only up to 3 Digimon. Only active Digimon in domination spells. And also you can use items in these spells. And of course it varies by challenge if you respawn in them or not. But that's not all. You can also command what your teammates and the Digimon will do. However, you can save that game in the middle of the managed spell. So you need to finish it to be able to save the game. Also with them you can bond features. Well, only side case domination spells. About those later in the video. However, when there is a domination spell in the story, there is a finding about it that you need to have 3 Digimon ready. There are also derived spells, but only from side quest, but appears really late in the game, so this might be a significant spoiler gameplay, but it is still late. It's about implants which gives the opposite impact stats ever, so it's better to find all implants. However, there are interruptions like random encounters and other stuff from which you might lose an implant. Now about cases. Of course, they work the same way as in Cyber Sleuth, or even as in other Digimon Story games. At least apart where there are some cases which aren't optional to progress history, but which are accessible from a computer and so that they are sorted between Digifarm case, normal and imported case. Imported cases need to be done to progress the game. And of course Mira is in Digilab and now she is the only one who says what to do if you are lost. Thanks to domination spells, it can be easier to notice the Digifarm case repaired really fast. Like already from that second Digifarm Digimon investigations. Okay, back-to-back investigations, the same team to fight against appears as a case, which also includes the same Digimon to fight against. Maybe that was my fault, but it seems that I was lazy. That's the same case appeared really fast. Like the same case can appear while in the same chapter, not counting really short chapters. Like only after doing one cycles and then already it is the same case. It will be understandable if the same case would appear in a different chapter. I cannot counting very short chapters, but the game becomes very repetitive very fast. Sure, Digifarm cases are optional, so it's not to them. Still, putting a Digimon to investigate is also for different types of optional side quests, which content from Cyber Sleuth dealing with blacklist hackers and also Digimon property case, which are less than in Cyber Sleuth, but which could also repeat. Anyways, sorry about the tangent, back to the dominations and the palace. For side case versions, you need to invite characters who will help you complete this case. And after completing this side case, there is a chance that you can bond with a character. It's by selecting the right answer, and goes to increase the bond better. And they give you items other maybe with a better bond, better or more items. About accurate skills, there might be some that are gone, but there are no skills that improve the game, like speeding such at movement speed, or escaping lunges for a friend, and specifically both word-side content, from which you make it collectibles.
さあ行こう。構うな、逃げるぞ。
At least in the complete editions, if you have Cyber Sleuth completely saved, then you get bonus items in accurate memories, and I guess it is same if you have accurate memory completely saved. If it, then you get items in Cyber Sleuth. I didn't use them. Maybe I used only one item from it, but I don't really remember that. Accurate memories are no collectibles. It's a file which you can play out to see what memories and different character is. More background info about the character lifestyle or other things. That's one reason why this subtitle is called accurate memory. Only in accurate memory I notice when playing, if at least one Digimon is defeated, you still receive experience and money. Overall locations is better, but there are still problems, like in English dialogue, a character screams when in Japanese audio. A character calls different character names but while shouting, like in bad names. Of course, there are situations where is also for a female, like even to a character that is not to be female. And there are mistranslations for saying the opponent in using Japan Digimon, but those opponents are all using Rocky Digimon. And of course not counting in Pala voice clips, for most of the game Keisuke doesn't have voice audio for real. Only it and that Keisuke has voice audio. Come on, if you're gonna have voice audio for mentioned, then it shall be more than what the game is. Speaking of voice audio, it is because of Systemon censorship. There is a case where Systemon is voice audio, but when sharing Systemon's still name audio suddenly cuts off. Either should have left also voice audio in the game, leaving the original name in it, or remove all also voice audio from the case. I forgot the term or word for it, but when suddenly voice audio cuts off and then voice audio returns, it is off-putting. Maybe the word is sharing when the audio is randomly cut off. Like it can also break immersion, if I didn't have immersion broken because of video making or real life stuff. I encountered some bugs, but it's the end of the game, or near the end of the game. In one place where saving was disabled for some reason, accessing declined crashes again. And before that, maybe an optional thing to do, the ringing sound effect didn't disappear. Only all the rest of the things the same sound effect was gone. And under a panel palette there was a graphical glitch to a Digimon which was introduced in this game. Of course there is a post game, but this time it is only accessible after the final battle, but which still is set before the final battle. This game is more dungeon variants, so the game feels less samey, not counting very repetitive Digimon side quests. About the annoying fight, I'm gonna spoil only that it makes your Digimon uncontrollable, instead making your Digimon panic, but won't share when it happens. Knowing it was coming, then I was ready, but it still was annoying. Even if I was ready, the panic event wasn't completely stopped. While a Digimon is panicked, they can't be commanded, so if all Digimon are panicked, then you can't do shit. You can't even change the different Digimon while all of your Digimon is panicked. For the story, someone could skip or play it before Cyber Sleuth, but I'm not recommending doing either options. But gameplay wise, if you wanted more Cyber Sleuth, then it is more Cyber Sleuth. But of course, with different characters and without having connect jump ability. On our system, you can get both games with a single purchase. You can buy them separately on our consoles. And I mean our consoles are only Nintendo Switch and computers. So overall it is one game and at least in the complete editions, if you complete both games then you can transfer Digimon between both games. Which can only help if you plan to play New Game Plus or doing post game of each game, if you didn't do that already in one game before completing the other game. So yeah, overall with this game you can enjoy a full time. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like the video, subscribe and comment. See you next time.